The Solomon Islands has confirmed tonight it will be working more closely with China. It's released a statement saying it's looking to broaden security and development cooperation, including with Beijing. The announcements come just hours after a draft security agreement between the two nations was leaked. It suggested China would be able to deploy police and military personnel in the Solomons. Both New Zealand and Australia, which have close ties with the Solomon Islands, have expressed deep concerns about the situation and are promising to raise them directly with China. Well, for more on this, let's bring in former New Zealand Defence Minister Wayne Mapp. Wayne, thanks for joining us tonight. Just looking at the statement here from the Solomons, it says the security arrangement will have a development dimension to it. Is there a bit more going on to this, do you think?
Well, lots of Pacific nations have development relationships with China. That's not the issue here. It's the security issues. And the agreement actually had that it would be kept secret from third parties. What that really means is actually secret from the people of the Solomons. Now, for instance, could you possibly imagine the New Zealand government entering into a secret security agreement with a country that we simply didn't have that kind of relationship with? It would be absolutely unthinkable that such a thing could happen in a modern democracy.
A secret from countries like Australia and New Zealand as well. So what is the real big worry here, do you think, with China flexing its muscle like that?
Well, the big worry is, of course, that we're bringing the South Pacific smack into the middle of a great power conflict in an area that really fundamentally, the South Pacific Forum, which consists of all of the nations of the South Pacific, including Australia and New Zealand, really have viewed security issues as their domain. And I think this is an issue where the South Pacific Forum needs to come together and really lay some fundamental ground rules about how each of the nations are expected to conduct their relationships. Now, I'm not talking about something like NATO or anything like that, but surely secret security agreements of powers that are historically not, democracies would be the very sort of thing you'd expect the South Pacific Forum to concern itself with.
Are you saying the Solomon Islands has to pick a side here?
Well, they've really got to work in concert with their, fellow nations within the South Pacific. In essence, what they've done here is gone rogue. And you know that because they wanted to keep it secret, not just from, Australia and New Zealand and the other foreign nations, but actually from their own people. Why do they want to keep it secret? Because they know if it became public, there would be riots. There have been riots in recent months on this very kind of issue.
Well, just quickly, they have gone rogue. What can we do about it? China's got deep pockets. They can go rogue if they like, can't they?
Well, obviously, any independent nation can ultimately, make decisions in what they think is their own interests. But nations also have to work together with close partners. And if a nation really, starts to act outside what would be considered reasonable behaviour by their partners, by that I mean the adjacent countries, then it's not something that goes without any consequences with it at all. I mean, New Zealand, Australia, and the other Pacific nations, Fiji, Samoa, Tonga, all have relationships around trade, around immigration, around investment, around fundamentally fraternal relationships generally. And this kind of thing really damages that. And, I would think this is something, I would say the first step that needs to be taken is actually the South Pacific Forum getting engaged. And by that, I mean the leaders of the individual nations.
Sorry to interrupt you there. It looks like consequences will follow there. Thanks so much for your time tonight. Former Defence Minister Wayne Mapp.